I thought she was my best friend, but deep down, she was waiting to take everything I loved. This is the story of Naomi, a small-town girl with big dreams, a loving fiancé, and a future that seemed unstoppable, until the person she trusted most turned those dreams into a nightmare. In a quiet town nestled in rural North Carolina, Naomi stood out, not just for her kindness, but for her ambition. Her eyes were always on something more, something bigger than the cornfields and cozy porches that shaped her world. By her side since childhood was Chelsea. With her dazzling smile and bubbly charm, Chelsea was adored by everyone. But while Naomi soared, winning scholarships, planning for college abroad, Chelsea watched from the sidelines, smiling outwardly, but burning silently inside. Naomi never noticed. Their bond had started on swing sets and sleepovers, and she thought it would last forever. But as her departure for London approached, that closeness began to quietly shift. The town threw her a send-off. Hugs, prayers, laughter. And in the corner, Chelsea clapped with a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. Naomi's heart was full of hope, but heavy too. She was leaving behind Marcus, the love of her life. A quiet, hard-working man with strong hands and a gentle heart. Marcus was everything to her. They had plans. Once she finished school, they'd settle down, build a life, maybe even a family. He'd even promised to build their dream home with his own two hands, just like the furniture he crafted for neighbors. As Naomi boarded her flight, she looked back one last time. The goodbye was warm, but behind her, hidden even from herself, was the beginning of a storm she never saw coming. While Naomi settled into her new life in London, juggling papers, cold weather, and a heavy course load, Chelsea's quiet jealousy began to take shape. And then it turned active. One afternoon, during what seemed like an ordinary phone call, Chelsea dropped a seed of poison masked as concern. "You know how small towns are," she said casually. "People talk. I didn't want to tell you, but there's been word around. Marcus might have fathered a child. Maybe more than one. I just thought you should know." Naomi's stomach sank. She laughed it off at first, but the thought gnawed at her later that night. Her video calls with Marcus, once full of smiles and playful teasing, now had awkward pauses and hesitant questions. She asked him directly, voice shaking, heart pounding. Marcus was stunned, angry. He denied everything, but it was too late. That seed had been planted, and it had roots. And while Naomi sat with doubts in her tiny flat in London, Chelsea wasn't finished. Back home, she turned to Marcus. She showed up with takeout and fake sympathy, pretending to check in on him. But her words cut deep. "London's changed her, Marcus. She's not the same girl. I heard things. Parties, wild nights, maybe even worse. You really think she's over there focused on you?" Marcus was shaken. The Naomi he knew and loved suddenly felt like a stranger. Just a voice through a screen. Could she really be hiding something? Their phone calls turned short, cold, tense. Each side now second-guessed the other. Naomi felt unseen. Marcus felt betrayed. And Chelsea? She was right in the middle, pretending to support both of them while quietly pulling them apart. She whispered comfort into Marcus's ears. Always showing up, always available. To Naomi, she cried fake tears over the heartbreak, while carefully fanning the flames of fear. What Naomi and Marcus didn't see, what they couldn't see, was that their once unshakable love was now built on sand. The lies weren't loud. They didn't come in like storms. They crept in like whispers, soft, subtle, deadly. As months passed, calls between Naomi and Marcus turned into strained silences. Naomi began to wonder, did I make a mistake? And Marcus? He stopped believing the girl he once loved was still out there. All the while, Chelsea smiled quietly to herself, thinking the future she envied was finally hers to take. Marcus was unraveling. The images Chelsea had painted in his mind haunted him. Naomi at parties, laughing with strangers, maybe even selling her body just to get by. It was madness. And yet, the seed of doubt had bloomed into a forest of fear. He no longer recognized the girl on the screen. The woman who once made him feel safe now felt like a stranger wrapped in suspicion. Their late-night calls turned into interrogations. Naomi begged for reassurance. Marcus pushed for answers. Every call ended with someone crying or both. Eventually, Naomi broke. She ended it, not because she stopped loving him, but because she didn't know how to keep loving someone who no longer believed in her. Her heart shattered under the weight of what they lost, what they could have been, and in the quiet space she left behind, Chelsea stepped in. She brought meals. She listened. She stayed. And little by little, her presence filled the void Naomi left behind. What started as friendship slowly twisted into something more. Marcus, exhausted and aching, leaned into the comfort. And before long, Chelsea had what she always wanted. A ring on her finger and Marcus in her bed. But not everyone was convinced. Their small town whispered, loudly, how did Marcus move on so quickly? Why Chelsea? And wasn't it strange how their relationship started right after Naomi's fell apart? The rumors grew darker. People remembered the stories Chelsea had spread. How Naomi had supposedly had multiple abortions, ruined her womb, turned to sex work. But those who really knew Naomi, they weren't buying it. The sweet, hard-working girl who left with dreams in her eyes didn't match the cruel picture Chelsea painted. Her stories sounded less like truth and more like a desperate grab for power. Still, the wedding happened. The smiles were posed. The cake was cut. But beneath the surface, the marriage was already cracking. Chelsea had won, but it didn't feel like victory. The love she thought she'd claimed wasn't real. It was grief in disguise. Marcus still laughed, but only in public. At home, his silence spoke louder than any vow. His eyes wandered back to memories of Naomi. Unspoken, but ever-present. Chelsea tried. She decorated the house, cooked his favorite meals, tried to fill the space Naomi once held. But you can't build love on lies. And deep down, she knew it. Chelsea tried to pretend everything was fine. She made dinner. She smiled for the neighbors. She left love notes on the bathroom mirror. But inside their cozy suburban home, things felt hollow. Marcus had grown distant, quiet, and Chelsea, even with all her efforts, couldn't touch whatever wall was rising between them. Then it happened. Marcus ran into an old friend, someone who had just come back from London. The conversation was casual at first, but then the friend said, "Man, Naomi's doing amazing over there. She's been working day and night. Straight A student. Didn't even have time for dating, let alone drama. Honestly, she's one of the most grounded people I know." The words hit Marcus like a truck. Naomi wasn't partying. She wasn't wild. She wasn't selling her body. She was the same strong, disciplined woman he'd fallen in love with, just on the other side of the world, chasing her dreams. And suddenly, everything made sense. That night, Marcus confronted Chelsea. The air in the room was thick, like a thunderstorm waiting to crack. He stood across from her, holding the truth in one hand and betrayal in the other. "Tell me the truth," he said. "All of it." Chelsea panicked. She denied. She cried. She spun more lies, but they unraveled under the weight of Marcus's stare. He brought up his family, how they still missed Naomi, how they'd suggested calling a church elder, someone known for discerning truth, for laying bare lies, someone who, they believed, could bless honesty and curse deception. That broke her. Chelsea collapsed under the pressure, sobbing uncontrollably. And between gasps and trembling hands, she confessed it all. The jealousy, the lies, the manipulation. The way she twisted every truth to steal Marcus's heart. Marcus stood in silence, broken and furious all at once. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. He just listened. And when she was done, all he could whisper was, "You didn't just lie to me. You destroyed something beautiful." After Chelsea's confession, Marcus was left shattered. What he thought was love had been built on manipulation. He spent long nights staring at the ceiling, caught between anger and self-blame. How had he let it happen? How could he have doubted Naomi? The betrayal didn't just break his heart. It broke his trust in himself. And in the end, Marcus knew one thing for sure. You can't build a future with someone who lied to steal the past. With a heavy heart, he filed for divorce. It was quiet, quick, but the emotional scars ran deep. As the truth spread, Chelsea's world crumbled. Months later, Naomi came home. She had earned her degree. Her posture was stronger, her smile wiser, and though her heart still held the ache of everything she'd lost, it was wrapped now in grace. The town lit up at her return. There were hugs, cheers, and warm welcomes everywhere she turned. It was as if the town, too, needed redemption, and Naomi's presence brought it. But the air still carried one question. What would happen when Naomi and Chelsea met again? Their paths crossed beneath the old oak tree where they'd once played as little girls. Chelsea approached quietly. Her eyes, once bold with confidence, now brimmed with regret. She didn't defend herself. She didn't explain. She simply said, "I'm sorry." Naomi listened. Her heart swelled, not with anger, but with the strength of someone who had been through fire and come out whole. "I forgive you," she said softly, "but we can no longer be friends." It wasn't said with bitterness, just peace. And as Naomi turned and walked away, something powerful shifted. The town watched, not in gossip, but in awe. Here was a woman who had every right to seek revenge, and instead chose healing. Naomi wasn't looking for Marcus, but fate has its own timing. They ran into each other at the Saturday farmers market, surrounded by laughter, fresh produce, and the familiar rhythms of the town they both used to call home. Their eyes met, and in that quiet moment, 1,000 memories passed between them, unspoken but understood. Marcus, older now, carried the look of a man who had learned the hard way. His face held both regret and respect. Naomi had changed too. She stood taller. Her confidence wasn't loud, but it was solid. She had walked through fire and come out forged. They spoke gently. Marcus apologized, no excuses, no defenses, just truth. He told her he was sorry for doubting her, for letting someone else's lies destroy what they had. Naomi listened with kindness in her eyes, and then she said what needed to be said. "I forgive you, but I'm not here to go backward." She wasn't bitter, just certain. She was building something new, a life focused on healing, purpose, and her own dreams, not on repairing what someone else broke. Marcus nodded, and just like that, the chapter closed, not in anger but in peace. They parted ways that morning as something new. Not lovers, not enemies, but something in between. Two people who once shared a deep love, and now shared a deeper understanding. Sometimes the people we lose weren't meant to stay forever, but the lessons they leave, those last a lifetime. If this story moved you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little strength today. And if you want more powerful stories like this one, go ahead and watch this next video. I'll see you there.